Hi students, last time we saw the lesson named A Girl's Incredible Journey from Syria. It is all about Nuzain Mustafa. While traveling along with her family members and others, she felt like she was a goddess, a daughter of Poseidon, riding the horse like fish tossing their long hair and laughing in the wind. In the third paragraph, you see, I smiled at the thought. Look, Nada, how beautiful it is. I cried as we were tossed up and down. I laughed every time we were hit by another wave, even though we were drenched through. Drenched means made wet. They all became wet by the waves in the sea. Still, she was laughing. They all had some laughter. You need a psychiatrist laughing here, said someone. Someone said you must visit a psychiatrist. Why? Because at this time of trouble, they all laughed, especially Mustafa laughed at her situation. Actually, I was praying too, but quietly. She was praying as well as, and she was quiet. We were so intent is focused on our own boat that we didn't see what happened to the other three leaving with us. They all focused on their own boat, and so they didn't see what others were doing, other boats were doing, how they were traveling. But Mustafa scrambling up the cliff to follow our journey with binoculars and report back to our parents was horrified. Means to follow our journey with binoculars and report back to our parents. They were trying to follow their journey with the help of binoculars, and they were trying to report their travel back to their parents. It all was horrified. It was all kind of frightening as he watched Ahmed watched the first boat left with the waves and was quickly overturned. So the first boat was quickly overturned. We were the second boat to go. The third got much of the way and overturned close to the island. As they reached close to the island, they also got overturned. Overturned means collapsed in the sea, the water, leaving the people to swim. They all fell in the water and started swimming. The fourth was picked up by the Turkish Coast Guard. The fourth boat was safely picked up. Mustafa was in tears on the phone to my father because he didn't know if it was us. So Mustafa was in tears. She started crying on the phone to my father because he didn't know if it was us. The father didn't know it was Mustafa and our family members. In fact, we were better off as there were fewer of us compared with the other boats. And Uncle Amid's YouTube lessons had proved useful. Means Amid learned how to ride a boat through YouTube, so it was useful for them to ride the boat, dinghy. He went against the waves instead of with them, and get us to sit more on the side where the waves were hitting the boat to keep it down. So he rowed the dinghy boat, small boat, safely. So he took them safely. After a while, a mist came down and we could no longer see Lisbon. Lisbon is the island. Lisbon is an island of Greece. So they went to Lesbos ahead. I hoped we were going the right way. Mahmoud kept looking at my wheelchair. Mustafa's wheelchair. I knew we had agreed that if it became a danger, we would throw it into the sea. But surely he wouldn't really do that. She thought if it was a hindrance, it was a disturbance, she would throw into the sea. But she was quite sure that Hamid would not really do that. I kept an eye out for pirates. Kept an eye out for pirates means kept observing and Turkish coast guards, but the only people at sea seemed to be refugees. They were all refugees. Hundreds of people were making the crossing every day, and two other daughters were not far behind those people. Two other daughters were not far behind us. I didn't realize how close death was. Mustafa didn't realize how close the death was. Just a small tear in the fabric from my wheelchair catching, and we could have capsized, or a large wave could have turned the boat over at any moment. They may have plunged in, dipped in, may have gone into the water. But what happened? That's what happened to another Syrian family making the crossing the same day. Another Syrian family got capsized into the water, whereas Mustafa's boat still stayed. We didn't know them. Those people did not know those another Syrian family, but crossing earlier that day in those choppy waters. Choppy waters means with a lot of small waves, not calm. It's all active sea. So those choppy waters a little south of us from the Bodrum Peninsula to Kos was a dinghy like ours. So Kos is a Greek island again. So they all made towards Kos. Inside were 16 Syrians, including a barber called Abdullah Kurdi, his wife Rehana, and their two little boys, 5-year-old Galib and 3-year-old Aylan. Like us, they were Kurds from Kobane and were hoping to start a new life in Germany. Kurds is inhabitant of Turkey. Kobane, a city in Kurdistan of Syria. So those people were from those parts, and they were also trying to travel for a new life in Germany. Though the crossing to Kos is short, just 4 miles, even shorter than the 8 miles from Behram to Lesbos. Lesbos, an island again. The sea further south is more exposed, and after an hour, bouncing on the waves, a larger one came and flipped the dinghy with no warning, tossing everyone out. So that's how they all fell in water. Abdullah tried to cling on to his little family, to try to hold on to the little family, catching the little ones together, but one after the other they were washed away. He stayed 3 hours in the water, desperately without hope, searching, but they were lost. Those little ones were lost. 11 of the passengers drowned. 5 of them children. 5 children were lost. Altogether, 11 passengers got drowned inside the water. So the next day, the photograph of little island could be lying face down, dead in the seashore, on a Turkish beach. In his smart red shirt and long blue shorts, went round the world. When I saw it later on Facebook, I thought that could have been me. It could have happened to her. But they all, with God's grace, escaped or had a quite successful journey. I had to turn the phone off and take a deep breath and try and think to myself, he is an innocent boy. He is in heaven and happy now. The boy, one who's dead there, is an innocent, and she believes that he is in heaven and he is happy now with God. When I discussed it with my sisters, we all agreed. If we had heard about it before our crossing, we would have gone back to Gaziantep. We would not have traveled that long. For a normal person, the ferry from western Turkey to Mytilene, the capital of Lesbos is the island, costs 10 euros and takes 90 minutes for a normal person. Whereas to make the same crossing as refugees had taken us 12 days to arrange and cost us each one how much? $1,500. Look at the price as well. We had been at sea 3.5 hours, and the sun was setting, and we were starting to shiver when suddenly there was the island rising like a giant black rock ahead of us. Soon we could make out people waiting on the shore. Does anyone speak English? We heard someone shout. I do, I called out. Everyone looked at me. It was the first time I had spoken English to a real English speaker. It was an incredible journey. Though she was handicapped, along with her wheelchair, she could travel too long for a new life along with her family members. This is Nuzin Mustafa's incredible journey from Syria to Germany. So, if you have any doubts, you can clarify with me in the class, and we will discuss some of the things in the class. Thank you.